So it's on Jen Gunter's blog. So we love Jen Gunter. She is a gynecologist and medical bullshit debunker. Yes. So this is an article called "The New Quote Study on Medical Abortion Reversal is Total BS. Here's Why." So there is a new study on, quote, abortion pill reversal, quote, unquote, and it is bullshit. It's a terrible study, but as it advances a forced birth agenda, we can expect forced birth politicians to salivate and cackle and use it to brew more laws that amount to experimenting on women. So I think it's, first of all, very interesting. I've never heard pro-lifers called forced birth.
I like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting sort of term.
I like that flip of the words.
I think it illustrates what they want.
Right. No choice. You gotta give birth. Anyways.
It's better than pro-birth, because forced birth is more, there's more.
Well, it just
sinister.
Emphasizes that the choice is not the woman's.
Exactly.
You are forced to give birth.
Yeah.
So Jen's pissed off because there's a website called MedPage that is a real website that shows real medical articles on it. And so she doesn't know why a real medical site would report on such a low quality piece of drivel. So, MedPage made sure the quotes from the horrible people at the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, who make it their business to spread lies about abortion and to report women with miscarriages for suspected murder, were up front, and the quote from ACOG, whose business is to spread facts about abortion, is buried at the end. So she's mad at MedPage. So you have this study, quote unquote, in a it's a journal, but she calls it an anti-abortion shit aggregator instead of a journal, called Issues in Law and Medicine. So it's a hate journal that exists solely to publish shitty studies to advance extreme right conservative agendas. So she kind of gives some example articles they published in the past. I don't know. Anyway, I won't even list them off, but they basically are a not a real journal that's just looking to advance certain policy and not real scientific results.
Okay.
They also published the American College of Pediatricians, who apparently are also a hate group of pediatricians, with articles like abortion breast cancer link, review of evidence from Asia, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, the apparently Issues in Law and Medicine, this fake journal, is actually indexed in the National Library of Medicine, which makes it seem respectable. She thinks that it shouldn't be in there. But anyway, so back to this actual study. It's called, quote, a case series detailing the successful reversal of the effects of mifepristone using progesterone, and claims a 64% success rate in reversing the medical abortion regimen when given after the first part of the regimen, the oral medication mifepristone. Thank you. So just
you're welcome.
Thank you, Self, for figuring out how to say that. Fuck y'all. So apparently, and I have no idea about that. It's you can, if one is pregnant and one wants to have an abortion, one can take two different medications. The first one you take is called mifepristone, and then you have to take a second drug a few weeks later. So what this study basically did was to take women and women who had already taken the mifepristone, and then they decided, oh, actually, I don't want to have an abortion. They've gone to these doctors and they've given them something else, progesterone, and then that's supposed to quote possibly reverse the effects of the first medication,
right?
Because you need to take the second one a few weeks later. Anyways, okay.
Supposedly.
Yeah, they don't, of course, take the second one. Anyways, so basically, first of all, the authors used data from women from the United States and, quote, several other countries who called a, quote, informational hotline about abortion reversal. We are not told which are the countries. This is the thing she really has a problem with. The patients in the study did not consent to being in the study.
Oh.
They decided that they had an internal review board waiver from requiring the women to participate in the study. So the women consented to taking the drug, which is any medical procedure, especially a major one, you would commonly get patients to sign a written consent that yes, they agree to this treatment.
Yes.
Which is not at all the same thing as consenting to be in a study.
Right.
So this is the things she really has a hard time with this. Now, after hearing some kind of information which is not detailed in the paper, but I am sure is totally facts based inside sarcasm emoji. The women who chose to proceed were referred to, quote, physicians and mid-level practitioners for treatment. So the women apparently gave written informed consent for treatment, but again, did not sign. They were not told they were going to be in a study, and they did not, because these, quote, researchers decided they had a waiver on this. So an IRB waiver also generally means that there is minimal risk. But since this is an experimental drug on a vulnerable population, pregnant women and fetuses are considered a vulnerable research population, it doesn't make any sense that they would be given this, that they would have that they would be given a waiver on having to give consent to be in a study. She actually apparently asked 3 different people she knows on institutional review boards, and all 3 of them said that's really weird.
Wow.
So she basically thinks that the reason they didn't do this is because if they actually did have to get ethics review, because if anybody I know who's ever had to apply for ethics review to do a study, it's really hard to get. You have to jump through a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of levels. It's a lot of work. And she thinks they probably didn't do it because it would have been their study would have been deemed unethical, and they wouldn't have been allowed to do it. So,
surprise, yeah.
So, so what they did is these random practitioners, like there was 325 different practitioners, delivered a hodgepodge of progesterone administrations that included intramuscular injections of progesterone and oil, oral administration of micronized progesterone, vaginal use of oral micronized progesterone capsules, compounded micronized progesterone vaginal suppositories, progesterone vaginal gel, and progesterone vaginal suppositories. So it wasn't even consistent in how this was delivered. So really weird way to this is not typically how you'd see an actual medical research go on.
Did they say anything about a control group?
Nope, they had no control group. They did lose a significant number of women in follow-up, meaning that 27% actually they couldn't follow them up.
Right.
That's a huge number of people to lose in a study.
Yeah, over a quarter of your subjects didn't report back.
Yeah. They received, there's no demographic information in the study beyond gestational age, mode of delivery of progesterone, amount of progesterone administered, quote, birth defects, and gestational age at delivery. We don't know maternal age, race, country, pregnancy history, smoking history, body mass index, or really anything about these women, meaning you couldn't actually draw any conclusions from the study. So the study, she says, is no shocker. So when the patients are given so you have women who've taken mifepristone, and if they don't get the follow-up, it's called misoprostol, a few weeks later, then they end up carrying the pregnancy to term 25 to 50% of the time. Now that's actually a known effect. Like if you don't take the follow-up drug, you end up 25 to 50% of women will still be pregnant and have a baby. Now they basically found this when they gave the progesterone after that first initial drug. So basically what's happening is these right-wing people are going to say, okay, I can give you this drug. So you take the first half of the abortion pill regimen, and then you decide, no, I don't want to have an abortion. Then you can take this other stuff and it'll reverse it so that you can, have your baby.
Right.
The thing is, they just found the same rates of women carrying their pregnancies to term as they would have if they'd done nothing. So the current standard of care, if a woman does take the abortion pill and then decides she wants to actually have it, the actual standard of practice now is to do nothing.
Just don't take the second pill.
Don't take the second pill and see what happens. And this study basically found that it's just as effective as taking this random hormone. So this paper adds nothing to what we know and offers no proof that progesterone does anything. The idea apparently is not biologically unsound, but testing it outside of internal review board approved protocol without informed consent is unethical.
Yeah.
Excuse me, unethical. So that's what the article is about. But it's what I found interesting as a general takeaway is that if you're not an expert, it's just so hard to know what's a real journal article and what's not. And it's just amazing that there can be journals, quote unquote, out there that are basically just that are not actually there's no factories. Yeah. I mean, if you are in academia, which journal you publish in, actually, especially medicine, becomes very, very important. It's very much about prestige of the journal, and a lot of people roll their eyes about that, like, oh, it's not fair that only certain journals are considered prestigious. But in actuality, when you think of things like this, it's like, well, at least there's there's journals with reputations to uphold. That are reputable. So
it's like the difference between getting your story on CBC versus the Rebel.
Exactly.
I think we've talked about that to some degree before, is the pressure to publish in academia and some of these pay-to-play journals that take advantage of that, and they don't really add anything to the discourse, and they don't prove anything.
Well, it depends on the field. Like medicine is very, very, very competitive.
Right.
I mean, when I was in astronomy, if you had real research that you really did with real data, I mean, you're going to get it published somewhere. I mean, unless it's a total piece of crap. I mean, there's enough journals that it was going to happen. And
if you do a good study, then it will work.
But in medicine, there are so many journals. So the prestige of the journal becomes very important. It should be, apparently. But it's interesting. They use title, like what did they call this? What is this journal that it was published in called? Issues in Law and Medicine. That doesn't sound like, you know what I mean?
Issues in Law and Medicine.
Yeah, this is this pseudo journal.
That sounds like a blog title.
But it's, you know what I mean? It doesn't indicate that it's going to be some super right-wing thing, right? It's just,
that's true.
Or the American College of Pediatricians. That sounds like a totally legitimate thing. No, apparently it's a group that is an anti-abortion group. Like, they choose these really innocuous names, but because they know what they're saying is controversial. So, anyways.
Well, on that note, did you know that Rand Paul started his own medical board?
Nice.
So he could skip certifications?
Interesting.
That's just smart. No.
Yeah.
Right.